Part 1. The Reluctant Navigator. They say once you've tasted the stars, you're forever theirs. I reckon they might be right. My name is Dax Ardent, and I'd thought I left the wild void behind when I deserted the Alliance Navy. But the cosmos had other plans. Sitting in the cramped cockpit of the freighter Starbone Vagabond, I felt the familiar hum of engines vibrating through my boots. It was meant to be a simple supply run through the marginal expanse, a forgotten trade route between two warring sectors, but simple is a word the universe seems to have banned from its lexicon. The ship bucked slightly as it slid past the gravity well of Hurath's cradle, a bloated gas giant wreathing itself in emerald storms. Rumors said it was a sacred place for the locals, a spot where gods whispered their secrets. I always thought that was space dust, but I wasn't one to tempt the whispers myself. "Hey, Cap'n," chirped a voice from the crew deck. Tamsin, our pilot and my unreasonably optimistic partner in crime. "You awake up there? Got a ping from the outpost on the Lagrange point. Looks like they want company." "Company as in guests or company as in a firing squad?" I shot back, knowing full well the latter wasn't off the table. We'd run this route enough times to know that half the outposts were friendlier with their disintegrators than their smiles. "Company as in, we gotta dock or they'll start charging us for loitering." Her voice had that teasing lilt that could melt the ice off a comet. "You want to handle it, or should I play ambassador?" I sighed, ruffling a hand through hair that hadn't seen a comb in days. "I'll take this one. Keep the engines warm just in case." The outpost loomed ahead, a tangled web of metallic spires and glowing platforms, half of it cobbled together from wreckage and dreams. I coaxed the vagabond into a gentle docking maneuver, earning a reluctant nod from the surly dockmaster we met at the airlock. "What's your business, vagabond?" he grumbled, an android eye scanning me with clinical disinterest. "We're here to unload the supplies," I replied, handing him the cargo manifest. "Just passing through." He grunted, tapping a few commands into his console. "Better be quick. Word is there's trouble brewing in the sector. You don't want to get caught up in it." "Trouble's my middle name," I muttered under my breath, earning a sideways glance from the dockmaster. We unloaded the crates of rations, tech parts, and enough neural chips to keep the outpost systems humming for another month. I was just about to head back to the ship when I noticed something unusual. An old, derelict ship docked at the far end of the bay. It was a frigate, scarred and battered from battles long past, yet with an odd beauty that called to me. "Hey, Tamsin," I pinged her on the comms. "You seeing what I'm seeing?" "You mean the ghost ship at the edge of the bay? Yeah, looks like she's seen better days." "Why?" "Because," I said, watching as my feet inexplicably started toward it, "I've got a bad feeling she's got a story worth hearing." As I approached, a strange aura surrounded the frigate, a sense of ancient weariness. Its hull was marked with symbols I couldn't decipher, but they seemed to pulse faintly in the dim light. A low rumble, almost like a muted heartbeat, echoed from within, and I felt a tug of curiosity. It wasn't every day you stumbled upon a relic of the stars. I reached out, running my hand over the cold metal, and an unexpected jolt shot through me. For a brief moment, my vision blurred, reality warping into a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds. I heard voices, distant yet insistent, whispering of forgotten wars and the weight of cosmic secrets. "Dax, come in," Tamsin's voice cracked through the static in my mind. I blinked, the visions fading like smoke. "You okay? You zoned out for a minute there." "Yeah, just something about this ship is off," I replied, trying to shake off the lingering unease. "I think it's connected to whatever's happening out here." "Well, before you go playing space detective, remember we have a schedule. The convoy's expecting us at Yora Station in 2 days, and I'd rather not keep them waiting." "Copy that," I said, forcing myself to turn away from the frigate. Yet, As I made my way back to the vagabond, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just brushed against something far greater than myself, a mystery that demanded unraveling. I settled back into the cockpit, firing up the engines. The vagabond responded with a familiar purr, and we slipped away from the outpost, our course set for Yora Station. The stars stretched out before us, endless and enticing, whispering promises of adventure and peril. "Hey, Dax," Tamsin piped up, her gaze fixed on the starry expanse. "You ever get the feeling we're just pawns in some cosmic game?" I chuckled, adjusting the ship's trajectory. "All the time, but hey, at least the view's nice." "That it is, Cap'n," she saw. Id with a smile, settling back into her seat. As we sailed through the void, my thoughts kept drifting back to the frigate and its cryptic symbols. I knew I'd have to make a choice soon, to dive headlong into the mystery or stick to the safer path. But with each passing light year, it felt as if the universe was already weaving me into its tapestry, urging me to embrace the unexpected. For now, all I could do was keep my eyes on the stars and my hand on the helm, ready to face whatever the cosmos threw my way. And I had a feeling it wasn't going to let me down. Part 2. Echoes of the Forgotten. The stars outside the cockpit seemed to wink mischievously as we slipped into sublight, the vagabond's engines humming like a contented beast. Yora Station lay ahead, a sprawling lattice of metal and light tethered to the edge of a pulsar's gravity well. It was a hub of trade and treachery, a place where fortunes could change with the passing of a comet's tail. The frigate from the outpost still haunted my thoughts like an itch I couldn't scratch. Those symbols, the voices, they weren't something I could just shake off. It was as if the universe had handed me a riddle and dared me to solve it. Yet, Yora Station demanded our attention first, and I knew better than to let my curiosity override our obligations. Tamsin would never let me live it down if I did. "Dax, you look like you're plotting something," Tamsin said, glancing over with a smirk as we approached the station's docking array. "Plotting devious exploits is what I do best," I replied, trying to match her levity. "But for now, I'll settle for making sure we don't get turned into ionized space dust during this docking maneuver." Yora Station greeted us with the usual flurry of activity, hustling traders, engineers scurrying over catwalks like ants, and the ever-present scent of burnt circuitry mingling with spices from a dozen worlds. As we settled into our berth, I noticed a peculiar ship docked nearby, sleek and elongated, its surface gleaming like polished obsidian. It was unlike anything I'd seen, exuding an aura of quiet menace. Curiosity piqued, I found myself wandering toward the ship, conscious of the looks from the station's denizens. As I drew near, a figure emerged, a tall, angular being with skin like flowing mercury, reflecting the station's lights in distorted patterns. Its eyes were deep-set, pools of inky darkness that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Greetings," it intoned, voice smooth and resonant, carrying the weight of ancient stars. "You are drawn to the Ebonsail, yes?" I hesitated, caught off guard by the directness. "Yeah, I suppose I am. Never seen a ship like this before." The being inclined its head, a gesture both courteous and unsettling. "She is unique, much like her purpose. I am K-Rizix, her custodian. There are not many who recognize the call of the unknown." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. The unknown seems to have it out for me lately, but enough about me. What brings you to this corner of the galaxy? K-Rizix's eyes glimmered with a hint of amusement. "Curiosity binds us, traveler. The universe is vast, its mysteries countless. The Ebonsail seeks that which is lost, and in doing so may find what is unexpected." Before I could pry further, a shiver ran through the station, a subtle vibration that set my nerves on edge. The lights flickered, and a low, ominous hum filled the air. "What the hell?" I muttered, looking around as confusion rippled through the crowds. Anomaly detected, Rizik said, their voice suddenly taut with urgency. We must seek the source. Back on the Vagabond, I found Tamsin already at the controls, a determined look on her face. You felt that too, right? Whatever it was, it's not friendly. Yeah, and I'm starting to think it has something to do with that frigate we saw, I said, strapping into the co-pilot's seat. Brace yourself, we're diving into the deep end. Responding to our urgency, the Vagabond leapt from its berth, engines straining as we tore through the station's perimeter. The Anomaly's heart seemed to pulse somewhere within Yora's gravitational shadow, a tear in reality that shimmered like oil on water. As we closed in, my instruments went haywire, readings fluctuating wildly as if reality itself was being rewritten. I could practically feel the ship's hull groaning in protest. Captain, we're not alone, Tamsin warned, pointing out the viewport. From the Anomaly's swirling depths rose a fleet of ships, jagged and predatory, their hulls adorned with the same symbols I'd seen on the derelict frigate. Their emergence was silent, eerie, like specters materializing from a nightmare. They're not friendly, Tamsin said, stating the obvious as she brought up our weapon systems. No kidding, let's give them a warm welcome, I replied, locking our sights on the nearest target. The ensuing dogfight was chaotic, a ballet of laser fire and evasive maneuvers set against the backdrop of a pulsar's fiery corona. Tamsin was a marvel at the controls, dodging and weaving through the assault with alacrity that made my head spin. I returned fire, each shot carving through the void with lethal precision. These guys fight like they have a personal vendetta, I grunted, the ship shuddering with impact. Probably because we're stepping on their turf, Tamsin quipped, her voice steady despite the tension. But there's more at play here, Dax. That anomaly, it's doing something to the ships. Indeed, the enemy fleet seemed to flicker and distort, caught in the anomaly's grip. As if hearing our thoughts, the anomaly pulsed again, its energy lashing out like an ethereal whip. Brace for impact, I shouted, holding on for dear life as the shockwave engulfed us. For a heart-stopping moment, reality fractured around us, time stretching and compressing in ways that defied logic. The Vagabond spun wildly, systems screaming in protest, and for a terrifying instant I thought we'd torn asunder. Then, just as suddenly, it was over. The anomaly's pull faded, leaving a stunned silence in its wake. Our attackers vanished as swiftly as they had appeared, leaving only the ghost of their presence behind. Tamsin and I exchanged a glance, breathless and wide-eyed. Well, I said, finding my voice again, that wasn't on the itinerary. You think that old frigate had something to do with this? Tamsin asked, already charting a course away from the chaos. Feels like it, I admitted, my mind racing. Whatever's going on, it's bigger than we thought, and I have a feeling we're going to need answers before it's too late. As we limped back toward Yora Station, the anomaly's shadow lingered in my thoughts, a cosmic riddle weaving itself into the fabric of our journey. And as I stared into the depths of the void, I knew our next steps would lead us deeper into the heart of the unknown, where echoes of the forgotten waited to be heard. Part 3. The Fractured Veil. The Vagabond limped back toward Yora Station, her hull bearing the scars of our encounter. Engines sputtered intermittently as we coasted through the station's shimmering gates, cradled by the familiar expanse of cold steel and bustling life. We docked with a groan, the ship's systems sighing with relief. Tamsin and I exchanged weary glances, the adrenaline still singing through our veins. Next time, let's pick a destination that doesn't come with interdimensional ambushes, Tamsin quipped, unclipping her harness and stretching her arms above her head. Noted, I replied, rubbing my temples. But until then, we need answers. That frigate we saw, it felt like the key to all this madness. Assuming we can even get close to it again without getting shredded, she countered, a wry smile tugging at her lips. Always the optimist, I grinned back, though my mind churned with the weight of our predicament. Let's see if K-Rizix knows anything. If anyone on this station has a pulse on cosmic oddities, it's them. With a nod, she followed me out into the thrumming heart of Yora Station, the air alive with a kaleidoscope of languages and cultures. The path to the ebon sail was etched in memory, and it wasn't long before we found ourselves standing before the sleek obsidian ship once more. K-Rizix, I called, scanning the shadows for the enigmatic being. They emerged smoothly from the ship's side, liquid metal form catching the station's light in mesmerizing swirls. Traveler, you return. Did the anomaly reveal its nature? More like it tried to rip us apart, Tamsin interjected, crossing her arms. We need to know what's going on and fast. K-Rizix's eyes flickered, absorbing our words with deep contemplation. The anomaly is a fracture, a veil between realms. It draws energies from forgotten places, seeking to manifest the past. Manifest the past, I echoed, the implications dizzying. Is that what those ships were, the past intruding on the present? Indeed, K-Rizix replied. The frigate you encountered is a relic embedded with memories. It serves as a beacon to those ships, summoning them across time. So how do we stop it? Tamsin pressed, impatience edging her voice. The anomaly must be closed, K-Rizix stated, their tone somber. But it requires a significant catalyst, something linked to the frigate itself. The prospect of diving headlong into the unknown to stop this cosmic rift left a tight knot in my gut, but I knew we had no choice. The universe wasn't keen on waiting for us to catch up. We'll need a plan, I said, turning to Tamsin, who gave me a resolute nod. And a way to get back to that frigate without getting ourselves vaporized. Leave the latter to me, K-Rizix interjected, a shimmering determination settling over their form. The ebon sail can cloak our approach, but the risk remains. The risk is all we have, I said, feeling the weight of our decision settle heavily on my shoulders. Let's get to it. Evening fell over Yora Station, casting the metal latticework in hues of indigo and silver. It was beautiful in a way, the calm before the storm, a poignant reminder that peace is often fleeting. With the vagabond patched up as best we could manage on short notice, we set out, the ebon sail gliding beside us like a shadow. Time was against us, and the stars beckoned, their celestial gaze urging us forward. As we neared the last known coordinates of the frigate, the space around us felt charged with anticipation, the kind that ruffled the soul and whispered of danger. The anomaly loomed ahead, a swirling nexus of color and chaos. K-Rizix, engage the cloak, I ordered, watching the ebon sail meld seamlessly with the void, her presence merely a suggestion now. We passed the boundary, the vagabond shivering under the anomaly's influence, our senses stretching like elastic across dimensions. The frigate hung there, ancient and regal, the symbols on its hull now pulsing with an insistent rhythm. Tamsin and I moved quickly, boarding the frigate through a gaping breach. Inside was a labyrinth of winding corridors and forgotten chambers, echoes of its past lingering in the air like ghostly whispers. The ship was alive with memory, each step leading us deeper into its heart. This place gives me the creeps, Tamsin muttered, eyes darting as the shadows seemed to shift and writhe. Stay close, I said, though my own nerves danced with unease. Everything about the frigate felt off-kilter, as if reality twisted around us with each passing moment. We reached the bridge, a skeletal chamber bathed in the glow of the anomaly. At its center stood an ornate console, symbols etched into its surface. It called to me, a siren's song of destiny and dread. "This is it," I breathed, feeling the weight of countless lives pass through time. "This is where we close the rift." I placed a hand on the console, the symbols flaring to life beneath my touch. A surge of energy coursed through my veins, connecting me to the frigate's essence. Images flashed before my eyes, empires rise and fall, battles fought and lost, 1,000 stories woven into the tapestry of space. "Brace yourself, Dax," Tamsin warned, her voice the lifeline that anchored me to the present. The console's energy spread, enveloping us in its glow. I felt the anomalies pull intensifying, the rift demanding closure, a cosmic hunger that threatened to tear us apart. With a deep breath, I focused, channeling the energy, bending it to my will. The anomaly writhed, its edges curling as reality began to mend. The frigate shuddered, its form flickering as the past receded, relinquishing its hold on the present. The strain was unbearable, threatening to fracture my mind, but I pressed on, driven by purpose and defiance. The ship's symbols blazed brightly, a final crescendo of light and sound. Then, with a soundless roar, the anomaly collapsed, its energy dispersing into the ether. The frigate settled, its presence now a whisper, the cosmic riddle resolved. "Did we do it?" Tamsin asked, her voice hushed with awe and relief. I nodded, feeling the echoes dissipate, leaving behind a calm certainty. "We did. The veil is mended, at least for now." We made our way back to the Vagabond, the frigate's secrets now dormant, waiting for the next curious soul. As we departed, Rizix hailed us, their voice a balm after the chaos. "You have restored balance, travelers. The anomaly is no more." "Thank you, Rizix," I said, a rare warmth in my voice. "Couldn't have done it without you." "Our paths may yet cross again," Rizix replied, before the ebon sail vanished into the void, leaving us to navigate the stars once more. As we sailed toward the unknown, Tamsin's laughter broke the quiet. "Is it always going to be this exciting with you, Dax?" "Probably," I chuckled, the relief of survival sweet in the air. "But I wouldn't have it any other way." And so, with the cosmos stretched before us, we set our sights on the next adventure, knowing that in the vastness of space, the only certainty was that the story was far from over. Part 4: Shadows of the Fallen. We hurtled through space toward the beacon's plaintive cry, the Seeker's engines thrumming with a determination that matched our own. Outside the viewport, stars streaked past like spectral sentinels, their presence a reminder of the vast mysteries that lay ahead. In the silence of the ship, anticipation buzzed like an electric current. Cole had settled into a rhythm, studying the map we'd extracted from the derelict. His eyes flickered with an unsettling mixture of hope and desperation, as if he were searching for something long lost. "Find anything interesting?" I asked, leaning over his shoulder. "Plenty," he replied, pointing to a series of coordinates. "These routes, they suggest a network of connected ships, maybe even a whole system of abandoned worlds." "Like a breadcrumb trail through the galaxy," Lyra mused, tweaking the ship scanners to focus on the beacon. Her words echoed through the cabin, a reminder of the task ahead. We were following the whispers of a galaxy that had long since gone silent. But whispers, as I'd learned, often carried truths hidden deep within their shadows. As we approached the beacon's coordinates, the display flickered to life, revealing a planet encased in a swirling nebula. It spun lazily in the depths of space, its atmosphere shimmering with ethereal colors that danced in the starlight. The planet was beautiful in a way that only the universe could be, a cosmic jewel forgotten by time. "That's where the beacon's coming from," Lyra announced, her voice tinged with awe. "Any signs of life?" I asked, my gaze fixed on the planet's surface. "Scans are inconclusive," she replied. "The nebula's interference is messing with our sensors." Figures, nothing in this universe was ever straightforward. Plotting a course, I guided the seeker down through the nebula, its tendrils brushing against the hull like ghostly fingers. We pierced the atmosphere, and the ship shuddered as it adjusted to the new environment. The world below unfolded like a canvas of untouched beauty. Verdant forests sprawled across the land, broken by glistening rivers that wound their way toward a distant ocean. But amidst the natural splendor stood the remains of civilization, vast structures rising from the ground like the bones of giants. Ruins, forgotten and reclaimed by nature's relentless embrace. There, Cole pointed, directing our attention to a cluster of crumbling buildings near the shoreline. The beacons coming from there. I brought the seeker down gently, setting her down amidst the ruins with a soft thud. As the engines powered down, a profound silence enveloped us, the kind that precedes the unknown. We stepped out, the air crisp and laden with the scent of earth and sea, a reminder of the life that once thrived here. The ruins loomed around us, their architecture echoing the designs we'd seen on the derelict, but now marred by time and decay. "Feels like we've walked into a history book," Lyra remarked, her eyes scanning the structures with a blend of curiosity and caution. "Let's not become footnotes," I replied, keeping my voice light despite the tension coiling in my gut. Following the beacon's signal, we wound our way through the ruins, the path leading us deeper into the heart of the abandoned city. The buildings told stories of a once great civilization, their surfaces adorned with faded glyphs and murals depicting scenes of life and prosperity. Eventually, we arrived at the source of the beacon, a towering spire that rose above the other structures like a sentinel. Its surface shimmered with a faint energy, the beacon's relentless signal pulsating from its peak. "Think it's safe to go inside?" Lyra asked, eyeing the spire with a mix of wariness and excitement. "Only one way to find out," I replied, pushing open the massive doors that creaked in protest. Inside, the spire was a cavernous hollow, its walls lined with dormant machinery and flickering displays that hinted at ancient technology. The air was thick with dust and memories, the echoes of past voices lingering like forgotten melodies. Cole moved to the central console, his fingers brushing against the controls with practiced familiarity. "If we can access the central database, we might find out what happened here," he suggested, his voice threaded with urgency. As Cole worked, I wandered the chamber, strange artifacts and relics catching my eye. It was a place where the past whispered to the present, where secrets lay hidden beneath layers of dust and silence. Suddenly, the spire shuddered, a low rumble reverberating through the ground. I stumbled, catching myself against a console as the walls glowed with renewed energy. "What's happening?" Lyra shouted, bracing herself as the tremors subsided. "I think we triggered something," Cole replied, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. "The system, it's awakening." The displays flickered to life, streams of data cascaded across the surfaces in a torrent of information. A holographic map materialized above us, depicting not just this planet, but others, worlds scattered across the galaxy, each marked by a beacon similar to the one we followed. "This is it," I realized, the enormity of the discovery leaving me breathless. A network of forgotten worlds, a tapestry of cosmic history waiting to be unraveled. But before we could revel in the discovery, the ground trembled again, and a deep, resonant voice filled the chamber, speaking an alien tongue that resonated with ancient power. "We have awoken the Guardian," Cole whispered, his face pale with realization. The spire's walls lit up with symbols, pulsing in response to the voice, a language that transcended time and space, carrying a message we were only beginning to understand. As the voice continued its rhythmic chant, I felt the universe shift around us, the weight of its secrets pressing down with relentless force. We stood on the precipice of revelation, caught between the shadows of the past and the light of discovery, and I knew that whatever lay ahead would challenge us in ways we couldn't yet fathom. Part 5: The Guardian's Accord. The voice reverberated through the chamber, a resonant symphony that pushed at the edges of understanding. It spoke in waves, a language older than the stars, woven with threads of melody and meaning. Each syllable echoed through the spire, rippling across our consciousness like a tide. Cole stood transfixed, his eyes reflecting the glow of the glyphs as they pulsed in time with the voice. His lips moved silently, mirroring the alien language as if in a trance. "Cole," I called, concern tightening my chest. "You okay there?" He blinked as if waking from a dream. He started, then paused, searching for the right words. "I can understand it. It's as if the voice is speaking directly to my mind." "That doesn't sound ominous at all," Lyra quipped, though her expression was tight with concern. "Care to share what the voice is saying?" Cole closed his eyes, focusing. "It's inviting us," he explained, his voice tinged with awe, "inviting us to become part of the story, to learn and remember." The idea of being invited into a narrative that stretched across the stars was both exhilarating and terrifying, a call to adventure I hadn't anticipated. "What do you mean, part of the story?" I asked, stepping closer to him. Cole turned to us, his gaze steady. "These worlds, they're archives of an ancient alliance. Each beacon represents a piece of their knowledge, their history. The Guardians were left to ensure the legacy wasn't lost." "Guardians," Lyra repeated, her brow furrowing. "You mean there's more than one of these voices?" Cole nodded. "Each world has its own guardian. They're not sentient in the way we understand, but they're alive. They preserve the knowledge, waiting for someone to listen." "Sounds like a history lesson on a galactic scale," I said, trying to lighten the heavy air between us. "But why us? Why now?" "Because we stumbled upon it," Cole replied, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. "And because we're willing to listen." The spire began to settle, the voice fading into a hum that resonated within our bones. I felt it, a subtle shift in the air, like the moment before a storm breaks. The Guardian had spoken, and now it watched, waiting for our response. "So what do we do?" Lyra asked, looking between Cole and me. "Do we accept this invitation?" It was a question laden with implications, the weight of history pressing down with every heartbeat. To accept meant diving deeper into the unknown, aligning our path with a destiny written long before our time. But to refuse— I glanced around the chamber, the walls alive with the stories of a forgotten era. This place, this opportunity, felt like something out of a dream, one I couldn't ignore. "We listen," I decided, the words coming easy despite the uncertainty that lingered. "We see where this story takes us." With our path clear, Cole approached the console once more, his touch activating the intricate web of symbols that danced beneath his fingertips. The spire responded, the map shifting to reveal our next destination, a world nestled within a vast nebula, its light flickering like a beacon in the cosmic sea. As we prepared to depart, Lyra and I gathered supplies, our movements confident yet tinged with the nervous excitement of explorers about to set foot on new ground. "Why do I have a feeling this is going to get a lot more complicated before it's over?" Lyra mused, a wry smile on her lips. "Because it's us," I replied, grinning back. and nothing's ever simple with us involved. We boarded the Seeker, her engines thrumming with renewed purpose as we lifted off from the ancient world. Behind us, the spire stood silent once more, a sentinel keeping watch over the echoes of its past. As we set course for the next beacon, I found myself lost in thought, the enormity of our journey pressing in from all sides. We were chasing the fragments of a civilization that had spanned the stars, its history a mosaic waiting to be pieced together. Cole joined me at the helm, a thoughtful expression on his face. "You know, this might be the greatest discovery of our time," he said, a note of wonder coloring his voice. "Or the greatest headache," I countered, though there was no denying the thrill that coursed through me. He chuckled, a sound that carried relief and excitement in equal measure. "Either way, we're in for one hell of a ride." The Seeker surged forward, carrying us toward the nebula and the secrets it promised. As stars danced around us, I felt a familiar pull, a call to adventure as old as time itself. We were voyagers, seekers of stories lost to the void, and as long as the stars burned bright, we would follow their light wherever it led. With each new world, each new beacon, the pieces of the puzzle would fall into place, revealing a tapestry of history woven through the fabric of the universe. And perhaps, somewhere along the way, we'd find not just the answers we sought, but a place within the story that was uniquely ours. Part 6. The Nebula's Enigma. The journey through the nebula was like navigating a cosmic dreamscape, where colors bloomed and faded in kaleidoscopic waves. The Seeker glided through the ethereal mist, her sensors lighting up with data that seemed to flicker at the edges of comprehension. The nebula's energy was alive, vibrating with whispers of ancient power, pulling us ever deeper into its heart. Lyra worked diligently at the console, her brow furrowed as she deciphered the nebula's enigmatic signals. "These readings are off the charts," she exclaimed, her voice a blend of excitement and disbelief. "It's like the nebula itself is a living organism." "That would explain the way it's messing with our sensors," I replied, peering out at the swirling colors. "Feels like we're flying through the veins of some cosmic entity." Cole, perched nearby, studied the star maps with a keen intensity. "The beacon we're tracking, there's something different about it," he mused, tracing the patterns on the screen. "It's almost as if it's resonating with the nebula's energy." The thought sent a shiver down my spine, a thrill that carried the promise of discovery and danger in equal measure. We were entering uncharted territory, a frontier where the rules of reality twisted around an unseen core. As we neared our destination, the nebula parted like a curtain drawing back to reveal a hidden stage. Before us lay a planet, its surface shimmering with the same vibrant hues as the nebula. It was a world cast in mystery, its landscapes a tapestry of vivid colors and contrasting forms. "Looks like we've found the next piece of our puzzle," Lyra said, her fingers dancing over the controls as she brought up detailed scans of the planet's surface. The beacon was located within a massive structure perched atop a jagged ridge, its architecture both ancient and alien. The building's design echoed the spire from the previous world, but this one hummed with a different energy, a resonance that seemed to pulse in harmony with the nebula. We descended, the Seeker's landing thrusters flaring as she touched down on a plateau overlooking the valley below. The view was breathtaking, an endless vista of alien beauty that stretched to the horizon. "All right, everyone ready?" I asked, my voice steady despite the rapid beat of my heart. "Ready as I'll ever be for an adventure," Lyra replied, her grin belying the tension in her eyes. Cole merely nodded, his expression one of determination mingled with curiosity. The story was unfolding, and he was eager to turn the pages. We disembarked, the air around us charged with the nebula's energy. The colors seemed to ripple and flow, painting the landscape with shifting hues that defied description. The path to the structure was clear, winding through fields of luminescent flora that glowed like stars scattered across the ground. As we neared the entrance, a low hum resonated from the building, a sound that carried with it the weight of ages. The doors parted silently, revealing an interior filled with light and shadows that danced in an intricate ballet. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of ozone and ancient earth, the walls lined with intricate carvings that seemed to tell stories of a forgotten time. Symbols and glyphs glowed faintly, casting an otherworldly light that guided our steps. "This place feels like a temple," Lyra observed, her voice hushed with reverence. "Like we're walking through the memories of this world." At the heart of the structure stood another console, its surface alive with energy that pulsed in time to the rhythm of the nebula. It was a beacon not just of light, but of history, a conduit to the past that awaited our touch. Cole approached, his fingers grazing the interface with a familiarity born of experience. The console responded, the symbols shifting to reveal a complex web of data that filled the air with holographic images. "What's it saying?" I asked, stepping closer to examine the projections. "It's a record," Cole replied, his eyes scanning the streams of information. "A chronicle of this world's history preserved by the Guardian. This planet was once part of a vast network, a hub of knowledge and culture that spanned the galaxy." As Cole spoke, the images shifted, displaying scenes of life and civilization, cities of light, expansive libraries filled with knowledge, and beings that seemed to transcend the physical realm. "It's beautiful," Lyra whispered, her gaze transfixed by the vision, "like seeing a window into another world." But as the images played out, a shadow fell across the light. Scenes of destruction and chaos unfolded, the vibrant cities consumed by an unseen force, leaving only ruins in their wake. "What happened here?" I wondered aloud, the weight of the mystery pressing down with renewed intensity. Cole shook his head, his expression troubled. "The records speak of a cataclysm, a force that swept through the network, severing connections and leaving worlds isolated." As the last of the images faded, the console's glow dimmed, leaving us in the echoing silence of the chamber. The Guardian's story had been told, its secrets laid bare for us to piece together. "We need to find the others," I said, determination threading through my voice. "Discover what really happened and why." Lyra and Cole nodded, the resolve in their eyes mirroring my own. We turned back toward the Seeker, the path ahead filled with uncertainty and promise. The galaxy was vast, its mysteries countless and profound, but we were driven by a purpose that burned like a beacon within. With each step, the nebula seemed to pulse around us, a living entity that watched and waited as we moved forward into the unknown. We were seekers of truth, voyagers of the stars, and as long as the cosmos called, we would journey ever onward, unraveling the enigma that lay beneath the surface of the universe. Part 7. The Rift of Realities. The Seeker once again took to the void, carrying us away from the vibrant nebula. The journey had been one of revelation, yet it left us with more questions than answers. The cosmos had always been an intricate web, but now it was clear that even the smallest strand could lead to universes unknown and stories untold. Back on the bridge, the atmosphere was a mix of contemplation and hope. Lyra busied herself with recalibrating the ship systems, keeping an eye on the strange energies that still clung to our hull like nebula dust. Cole pored over the data we'd gathered, his mind working through the implications of the Guardian's tale. I leaned back in the captain's chair, the quiet hum of the ship a steady companion to my thoughts. We were voyagers on a sea of stars, but even the most seasoned sailor had to make sense of the maps he charted. "Find anything new?" I asked Cole, breaking the comfortable silence. He glanced up, eyes bright with discovery. "The data is a treasure trove. The network these worlds belonged to it was a repository of knowledge, a beacon for civilizations across the galaxy." "So why did it fall apart?" Lyra asked, her voice tinged with curiosity. "Whatever the cataclysm was, it didn't just destroy. It severed connections as if tearing out the roots of a tree," Cole explained. "But there's something else, a pattern in the data. It suggests a convergence, a point where the network once thrived." "Where?" I asked, leaning forward, the thrill of discovery pushing aside the fatigue of our journey. Cole pulled up a map, his fingers tracing the paths of light that represented the network. "Here," he said, pointing to a sector at the fringes of known space. "There's something there, a signal, faint but persistent. It could be the source, or at least a remnant." "A ghost of the past," I mused, the words like a whisper caught in the air. "Or a beacon to those who would listen," Cole added, his voice filled with a quiet determination. With our course set, the seeker surged forward, the stars streaking by in a wash of light. The sector we headed toward was a place of myths and legends, spoken of in hushed tones by those who dared to dream of the unknown. The journey was long, the days slipping by in a dance of routine and anticipation. We shared stories and laughter, the camaraderie of our small crew alight against the expanse. Even in the vastness of space, it was the bonds we forged that anchored us. Finally, the seeker nudged out of hyperspace, arriving at the edge of a stellar expanse unlike any we'd seen. Before us stretched a rift in the fabric of space, a churning maelstrom of light and shadow that danced like a siren's song. "This is it," Lyra breathed, awe in her voice. "The convergence point." The rift was a living entity, its surfaces shimmering with a spectrum of colors that defied description. It was as though reality itself was bending, inviting us to step beyond the threshold into a realm of possibilities. "Scans are inconclusive," Lyra reported, her brow furrowing. "The rift is generating massive amounts of energy, but it's like trying to read the ocean with a teaspoon." "Let's get a closer look," I decided, guiding the seeker toward the rift's edge. As we approached, the ship trembled, the rift's gravitational pull tugging at us with a force that was both enticing and terrifying. The view from the bridge was mesmerizing, a tapestry of light that seemed to ripple with the breath of the universe. Suddenly, the ship systems flickered, alarms blaring as the rift's energies surged around us. I fought the controls, struggling to keep the seeker steady against the cosmic tide. "Brace yourselves," I shouted, a thrill of adrenaline coursing through me. The ship shuddered violently, the rift's energies enveloping us in a cocoon of light. For a moment, time felt suspended, the universe holding its breath as reality stretched and folded around us. And then, with a final lurch, we burst through the rift, the universe snapping back into focus with a breathtaking clarity. Outside the viewport lay a realm unlike any we'd known, a vast expanse of celestial wonders, where stars danced in luminous arcs and planets drifted like islands in a sea of light. The air was thick with the hum of ancient power, a reminder that we had crossed a threshold into a place both familiar and alien. "What is this place?" Lyra asked, her voice filled with awe. Cole smiled, a sense of profound understanding in his eyes. "A remnant of what was a glimpse into the heart of the network's glory." As we drifted through this realm of light and wonder, the whispers of the ancients filled the air, their stories woven into the very fabric of the stars. We had stepped into the past, where echoes of history lingered like ghosts, waiting to share their secrets. For a moment, the universe felt smaller, its mysteries closer at hand. And as we began to explore this new reality, I knew that the journey was far from over. The galaxy held its breath, the stories of the past waiting to be told, and we, seekers of truth, would listen to their song as we charted a new course through the stars. Part 8. The Resonance of the Past. The realm beyond the rift was a celestial symphony, a place where every star hummed a different note. The seeker drifted through this cosmic orchestra, each instrument of light and shadow playing a melody that resonated deep within our souls. Here, the universe felt alive, its pulse a tangible force that transcended the boundaries of time and space. As we adjusted to this new reality, the ship's sensors sparked with readings that defied conventional understanding. The data streams flickered with an otherworldly logic, patterns and frequencies that suggested a hidden order beneath the apparent chaos. "This place is a living enigma," Lyra murmured, her eyes scanning the holographic displays with fascination. "It's like the universe itself is trying to communicate. Or it's a mirror reflecting the echoes of what came before," Cole added, his voice carrying the awe of someone walking through the pages of a forgotten history. We continued our exploration, the seeker gliding toward the heart of this luminous tapestry. As we flew, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, not by eyes, but by the very fabric of space, as if it were aware of our presence and curious about our intent. Ahead, a structure loomed, a titanic assembly of intricate geometry, suspended in the cosmic void like a jewel in the crown of the universe. Its surfaces were alive with patterns of light that shifted and flowed, a dance of complexity that beckoned us closer. "That's our destination," I said, steering the seeker toward the structure. "If anywhere holds the key to the network's secrets, it's there." As we approached, the ship's systems hummed in resonance with the structure, their frequencies mingling in a harmonic convergence. The feeling was one of profound connection, as though we were being welcomed into a sanctuary of knowledge and wonder. The seeker docked seamlessly with the structure, its airlocks aligning with an elegance that belied the vastness of the cosmos. As we prepared to disembark, I felt a twinge of apprehension, a reminder that we stood on the cusp of understanding a mystery older than the stars themselves. We stepped into the structure, greeted by an expanse of corridors and chambers that seemed to stretch into infinity. The walls shimmered with the same fluid light, casting a gentle glow that illuminated our path. "This place is like a library," Lyra observed, her voice a reverent whisper. "A repository of everything the network was." "More than a library," Cole said, his eyes wide as he absorbed the magnitude of our surroundings. "It's a living archive, a chronicle of knowledge preserved through the eons." As we explored, the corridors led us to a central chamber, its scale breathtaking in its grandeur. In the center stood a colossal column of light, its surface alive with shifting symbols and holographic displays. It was the heart of the structure, the nexus of the network's secrets. "Looks like this is where the magic happens," I remarked, stepping forward to examine the column. Cole approached the column, his fingers brushing the light with a gentle curiosity. The symbols responded, rearranging themselves in a fluid dance that conveyed a complex narrative. "It's a dialogue," Cole realized, his voice filled with wonder. "The network is speaking to us, sharing its story." As the symbols flowed, images materialized, a cascade of visions that unfolded like a forgotten dream. We saw the rise of a civilization that spanned the galaxy, its people united in the pursuit of knowledge and understanding. We witnessed the creation of the network, a vast web of connection that linked worlds and minds in a tapestry of discovery. But with the triumphs came shadows, and the visions darkened with the specter of the cataclysm. A force, unseen but palpable, swept through the network, unraveling its threads and casting worlds into isolation. The images were haunting, a reminder of the fragility of even the grandest dreams. "We're seeing the echoes of their lives," Lyra said, her voice tinged with melancholy. "A testament to what they were and what they lost." As the final images faded, the column's light dimmed, leaving us in the gentle glow of the chamber. The network had shared its story, a gift of insight that transcended the boundaries of time and space. Why share this with us? I wondered, the question lingering like a shadow. "Because we were willing to listen," Cole replied, his eyes reflecting the light's gentle glow. "And because the network still has a purpose, a legacy waiting to be fulfilled." As we stood there, surrounded by the echoes of the past, I felt a sense of peace, a connection to something greater than ourselves. The universe was vast, its mysteries profound, but it was the stories we uncovered that gave meaning to the stars. With newfound understanding, we made our way back to the Seeker, the structure's light a gentle farewell as we prepare to depart. The journey had changed us, shaping our path in ways we couldn't yet fathom, but the call to adventure still sang in our veins. As the ship lifted off, the stars welcomed us back into their embrace, the rift closing behind us like the final page of a beloved book. We were part of the network story now, our own narrative woven into the fabric of the cosmos. In the vastness of space, the journey never truly ends. There are always new horizons to explore, new stories to uncover. As long as the stars shine, we will follow their light, seekers of truth and meaning in an ever-expanding universe. And though the mysteries may deepen, we will face them together, voyagers bound by the resonance of the past and the promise of the future. Part 9. The Abyss Awaits. The Seeker glided through the vast ocean of stars, her hull whispering tales of our recent odyssey into the void's hidden archive. As we left the embrace of the rift, an unexpected stillness settled over us. It was the calm that follows a storm, a moment of reflection before the next chapter began. Our course took us toward a region known only in hushed whispers, the Abyss. It was a sector shrouded in mystery, where navigational charts turned blank and the stars seemed to dim, retreating from the secrets they guarded. "What do we know about the Abyss?" Lyra asked, her voice cutting through the soft hum of the ship's engines. "Not much," I admitted, glancing at the blank spaces on our star maps. "It's largely unexplored. Ships that venture too far return with vague reports of gravity anomalies and time shifts." "Sounds like a perfect vacation spot," Lyra quipped, her dry humor a comforting constant amidst the unknown. Cole leaned forward, his eyes reflecting the curiosity that defined him. If the network was once as vast as we've seen, there might be remnants in the abyss, fragments of worlds and knowledge waiting to be unearthed. "Or swallowed by whatever lurks there," I added, though the sense of adventure beneath my words was undeniable. Our passage was smooth, the ship systems humming in harmony with the universe's backdrop. But as we approached the abyss, a subtle shift occurred. The stars outside seemed to ripple, their light bending in ways that defied the laws of physics. "Are you seeing this?" Lyra asked, adjusting the sensors to capture the strange phenomenon. "Looks like the laws of reality are taking a holiday," I replied, watching the display as data fluctuated wildly before stabilizing. We pressed onward, the Seeker navigating the anomalies with a grace that spoke to her resilient nature. The deeper we ventured, the more pronounced the disturbances became. It was as if the very fabric of space was being woven anew, threads of time and gravity twisting into an intricate tapestry. "Ship's readings are going haywire," Lyra reported, her fingers flying over the console. The instruments can't make sense of what's happening. Visual navigation, then, I suggested. Trust what we can see. As we maneuvered through the shifting landscape, a shadow loomed at the edge of our vision. It was a massive structure, its form obscured by the swirling maelstrom of light and shadow. The silhouette was jagged, like a mountain wreathed in fog, and it exuded an ancient energy that thrummed through the hull. "That doesn't look like any natural formation," Cole observed, his voice tinged with excitement. "No, it doesn't," I agreed, guiding the seeker closer. The structure began to resolve into focus, revealing a sprawling complex that stretched across the void. Its architecture was both alien and familiar, a blend of styles that suggested it was a relic from the network's prime. "Looks like we've found another fragment of the puzzle," Lyra said, her eyes wide with discovery. We docked at the edge of the complex, the airlock extending like a bridge into the unknown. As we stepped out, the air felt different, heavier, as if infused with the weight of countless stories. The corridors were vast, echoing with the whispers of a civilization long gone. The walls were etched with murals that depicted scenes of life and knowledge, their colors faded but not forgotten. "This place is incredible," Cole breathed, his voice reverberating through the hushed space. "It's like they built a sanctuary within the chaos." As we explored, we came upon a grand chamber, its ceiling arched high above us. In the center sat a massive obelisk, its surface alive with symbols and light. The obelisk was a beacon, its presence a call to those who would listen. "Another archive," Lyra suggested, approaching the obelisk with a mix of caution and wonder. As we drew near, the symbols on the obelisk began to shift and reconfigure, their meaning unfolding like a story told in light. It spoke of a time before the cataclysm, when the network was a thriving hub of discovery and unity. But there was something more, an urgency in the symbols, a warning that resonated through the chamber. It spoke of an anomaly, a force that had encroached upon the network, threatening to unravel the very threads of existence. "This is it," Cole said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The source of the disturbances, the reason the network collapsed." As the realization settled in, the atmosphere in the chamber shifted, the shadows deepening into something more tangible. It was as if the past had awakened, its echoes manifesting as specters that moved with a purpose beyond comprehension. We stood at the threshold of revelation, the universe's mysteries laid bare before us. The journey had led us to this moment, a turning point where the past and present converged in a symphony of discovery and danger. With the shadows closing in, the choice was clear. To retreat would be to forsake the truth, to let the secrets of the abyss remain buried. But to forge ahead meant embracing the unknown, facing the challenges that awaited with courage and resolve. As we readied ourselves for the path ahead, the universe held its breath, the echoes of the past whispering of a future yet to be written. And as long as the stars shone, we would seek their light, voyagers ever bound to the story that guided us through the cosmos.